evening and welcome to the Economic Development Committee meeting. Tonight is June 7th, which seems shocking. And we are here with Dan Bathalon, Jim Garanitis, Lisa Green, and of course, Whitman Hanson Cable, who's gracious enough to film us. So we're meeting virtually in accordance with the governor's guidance on COVID. We could meet virtually anyway. Even without that, we just have to pass a resolution in our meeting. So with that, let me just bring up our agenda and we will.
Considering your last statement,
I'm having a little trouble, Jim. I don't know, it could be me because I don't have my headset on and I'm doing it.
That's all right, I'll move closer.
Okay.
At what point do we go, are we going to have to go to face-to-face meetings at some point? Where does that stand, and is that part of the plan, or are we going to stay this way?
I mean, we can, I didn't have that on the agenda, but we do have next meeting, so I guess we can kind of dovetail it in there. I don't know what I'm totally open, whatever you guys would like to do. I don't know if it's more of an imposition to be meeting in person and you can be more flexible if we're meeting virtually. But, there is that component of being in person that really can't, you just can't duplicate that virtually. You can try, but it's pretty difficult. I don't know. What do you guys think? I mean, do you feel like you want to meet in person, or where are you at, Dan?
I'm open either way. It doesn't really matter to me. Like you said, Laura, there's that face-to-face, true in person that, I've been missing after 14 months or 15 months, but whatever you guys all decide is fine with me.
Okay, cool. Jim, what thoughts?
I'd be interested in a hybrid model where we do, like, every couple of meetings meet face-to-face, but still continue to do the Zoom meetings.
I like that. Yeah, I think that works because yeah, I mean, I'm fine. Dan, what do you think about that? Cool. Okay.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, maybe some subjects and agendas will lend themselves more to in-person type of conversations. Like, for instance, the next time we meet with our consultant, I'd really like to have him in the room with us so we can eyeball him and ask him questions. But like, if we're just going through pro forma little agenda items, that we can get through in an hour, I don't want to make everybody leave their house, come out, blah, 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 get all dressed up and then leave.
Hanson is that big of a town.
Well, it depends on which end you live on. All right. So it sounds like everybody's sort of in agreement on the hybrid method. So public outreach meeting on June 1st. I just before we began this, I did extend my gratitude to Eric Dresser from Whitman Hanson Cable for the amazing job that they did in launching the first, of its kind, at least for them, where we had this hybrid thing going on, and we were able to take the questions streaming and all of that. And of course, we were helped out by Joe Campbell, and Deb really hit it out of the ballpark with getting Phil there, and Phil himself did an amazing job. Phil Schaffing, our consultant with Stantec, of course, I've already tainted the well a bit, but I'm just wondering what you guys thought about the forum. Jim, thoughts?
Oh, I thought it went really well. I was interested to see that we had a decent number of people join in. Not a huge number, but the questions were good. There was only one thing that came up that I didn't think it belonged on our plate. It belonged more in purchasing and things like that, in making sure there's the economy of scale when we're buying for the park.
Yeah.
And we're doing down there. I think that it doesn't fall. I don't think it falls on us. I think
you mean when Joe Weeks said that? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
That's, yeah. You know what? I think what he was trying to say, and that's interesting that that's what you got out of it. But what I got out of it was I thought he was trying to say only, and I think he kind of might have said it afterwards to me. He's like, I just don't want like the Jetsons in one part of town, and then like, I don't know, like Plymouth Plantation in another part. Like I think he was trying, I don't think he was saying like we need to do it, but that we should just at least talk to one another and say, hey, we're going for that New England feel, which hopefully, I mean, to me, that seemed obvious, but I see why he said it. I mean, like I definitely wouldn't be down with the Jetson look on Main Street, but maybe other people would. So I think that's where he was going with it. But yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, but my thought on that is, because we've got a bunch of things going on, procurement should be driving that. So we need to make sure that they're involved as we start to lay out plans. So they should be getting it from any other group that's working on projects. So we continue to stay in that. So I agree with the point. Yeah, we want to have a common look and feel.
Yeah.
I just didn't want us to get bogged down in chasing other people when you do it at the procurement level. There's no questions because they know what's coming and going.
Well, our procurement officer happens to be with us this evening, so it's very, very convenient. So duly noted, Lisa.
Lisa, how many titles do you have now?
How many?
Yeah, or does town administrator just come with a huge bucket?
It comes with a huge bucket, but I do have Esquire in my title and MCPPO, which is the Massachusetts Certified Public Purchasing Official.
Well, in addition to that, you were kind of given all kinds of subtitles. Procurement officer. I can't even think of all of them, but I know we had to nominate you and vote on you being given all these different titles. So she's got a few.
Okay.
So
yeah. I thought it was great. I thought it was good feedback and things like that. I thought it was great after the meeting where Deb, you weren't part of this, the meeting with Phil. We have a weekly meeting. Deb, Phil, and I would get together and talked about a piece of land, the project with the Ocean Spray, the building in the back.
Yes.
Before that, there was a discussion about he needs to create some green space, which is right smack in the middle of the area we're talking about. So I thought that was really good.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought Phil did a great job. I got some really great feedback from people that attended. And I know, people might think, oh, 32 people, like that wasn't that many. But I mean, I don't know, Phil, if you were there when Phil told Deb that he did it for Worcester and he got like 20 something people for the city of Worcester, so he felt pretty good about our attendance and our input. And there were a couple of folks that couldn't make it, but they, like Phil Clemens and Frank Skellinger, our conservation agent and chair of conservation, he sent a little email just saying, hey, we couldn't make it, but here's some things we want Phil to, Phil Sheffy to know about. So I was particularly appreciative that like Lee Gamache was there, and of course Deb was there as the planner, but like that Bill Cushing was there from ZBA and Joe Campbell was there from planning. And this is important because we've already discussed, we want to talk about zoning bylaws and we need to have everybody kind of start to row in the same direction. So I felt very supported by Town Hall, Lisa. I thank you, and the staff for doing that. I know, they've got day jobs and, this is like an extra thing, but we really are going to need the businesses, Town Hall and the citizens of Hanson to kind of all join together and head in that direction. So I please extend our thanks to them. It did not go unnoticed. Dan, did you have any thoughts? How did you think it went?
No, I thought it was really informative. Obviously, Phil does a great job. So that was impressive work there, highlighting everything, what the grant is actually for, and that's a planning grant and nothing else at this time. But I love to hear other people's point of views and a couple things that I hadn't thought of, and I thought I had thought of most of them. as far as maybe, you know, a boardwalk or connecting Burridge and bike rentals and all. Like, those are a bunch of great ideas I don't think, you know, any of us maybe would have came up with. So obviously having more people in the room, getting their feedback is always beneficial. So, you know, I thought that was great.
Yeah, I love that boardwalk idea, and I do think it's Matt's talked about it before, and I know my husband's talked with Matt about it before. That Burridge, I mean, I'm a little prejudiced. I go there like 5-6 days a week. I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
And it's such a gem, and we're so lucky to have it. And I do think that, you know, once people know it's there, if there was easier access other than driving down like light control and losing a kidney on your way in, you know, probably we would get people coming in. It could be a little destination thing. And there's a ton of little hiking groups on Facebook, you know, that share like, hey, I went on this hike and, you know, this is moderate, this is easy, this is difficult. And I could definitely see this taking hold. Plus, we've got the Bay State Circuit is in Hanson too. So I could see that we could become a destination. And, you know, that Burridge, we've got amazing stuff. There's herons out there and beavers. And I mean, every day there's something different. The turtles are laying eggs right now. It looks amazing. All these little prehistoric creatures are, you know, burrowing in and laying eggs. So, so anyway, I really think, you know, I think that it could really become something. So we'll see.
Yeah,
but
I'll also say, Laura, I'll also say, I was traveling around. My daughter plays basketball with a bunch of the other girls in town. So we were traveling around this weekend for our last tournament. And I was talking to a lot of the parents about, you know, what with the meeting and what we have going on in our committee. And you know, a dozen or so parents I've spoke to, none of them have heard of our committee. None of them know what we're doing that's even being thought of. So I think communicating that will just get more people involved, get more people excited about it. Because as I was talking about it, people were getting excited, like, oh, I'd love to do a bakery downtown and not have to go to another town because I go to this town and this town and this town because there's nothing we have to offer. So that would just help keep that small time feel like we all want to do, I think. But also just keep that business in town, which is a good part of, you know, what we're doing here in this committee. So that's important.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point. And one, just before we started the call today, I was talking to Eric Dresser at Whitman Hanson Cable about potentially at some point in the future having a little interview with us, or yeah, I don't know, but doing something, and maybe like an announcement in the Express. And Lisa, if we've got a page on the town website, it certainly isn't robust. And so we definitely need to kind of like take a look at that. So, Eric very kindly offered to take the meeting, which was at the tail end of the selectmen's meeting, and do a clip of just the portion that applies to the Economic Development Committee. So we could put that on our website. And with links to, like, you know, Phil's presentation, and just so that, you know, so that we're being as transparent as possible. So if people want to catch up or join in, that we've got that information out there. And to that end, also, Dan, so the Hanson Business Network is going to start gearing up. We're wildly excited because Hanson VCA is finally going to be moving into their new location somewhere around June 18th, and right across from the Hanson Middle School. And that's been a wonderful thing to see, that piece of property that kind of languished for a while. And personally, since I go to Hanson BCA, I'm wildly excited about the fact that, you know, I won't have to be on top of people in the waiting room. And I just think it's going to be amazing. Becky Yukis, the manager of that facility, reached out to the Hanson Business Network and to me to say that they're going to have a little grand opening type of thing. And I think she would be open, if you guys wanted to have the Economic Development Committee come. And I think it would be a good opportunity for us to get to know some of the business owners that might be there from the Hanson Business Network. So noodle that and think about it. I'll forward the invite when I get it. And if you guys are so inclined, then you can join, join. We haven't set the date yet. She's working on that, trying to figure out the date.
Yeah, I think that'd be great, like a little ribbon cutting type of thing.
Yeah.
And we put that on our platform. That'd be very cool.
And I'd like to really try to do that I'd like to celebrate some of, any kind of, progress that businesses have. If they hit a mark of a sale or, that anything like that, so that we can just sort of celebrate some of the successes. We know what some of the failures are. We can see them in the way of, of closed stores and what have you, but try to support the businesses. And along those lines, one of the things we're going to be talking about in the Hanson Business Network will be Hanson Day. Now, traditionally, we've done it in June of every year, but here we are, it's June and it takes a bit of lead time to put it together. I put it together the last 2 years that Hanson had it. What we tried to do was showcase businesses from Hanson, also organizations like the library, PTO, food pantry, and that type of thing. Basically, all things Hanson. It's a hodgepodge. You don't know what you're going to get. You don't know who's going to show up. But like one year, we had a guy who had an auto detailing business. The restaurants are always great about coming out and offering samples. Hanson VCA came out. We had the library, the food pantry, all Camp Kawani. So, it isn't purely business focused, but a lot of it is business focused. It's definitely Hanson focused. And so just wanted to talk to you guys. And before I meet with the Hanson Business Network, which will probably be in the next week or so, to get a sense from you whether you felt comfortable with the September timeframe. Again, it's off calendar from what we normally do, but I was thinking for years, I did a kids fitness festival the third week in September up at the Whitman-Hanson Regional High School. And we always had amazing attendance, like at least 1,000 people every year. And the weather is usually pretty good, which now means it won't be because I've called the universe in on us. But it like everybody's kind of usually settled and back to school, and people kind of know their sports schedules. They're starting in on that stuff. So it tends to be a pretty good time of the year to do it. It's not super hot usually. We don't usually get a lot of rain because we're not quite into that shoulder. So what do you guys, what's your sense on like the roughly third week in September? I'll search to see what other organizations are having other events to see if we've got anything that's, heavy duty competition. But what do you think about that?
Historically, has it always been in the summer?
It's historically always been June.
And how's the turnout been during the summer?
Fantastic. We got like 800, 900 people the last time.
Oh,
so yeah, it's been fantastic. I think either way, honestly, there's such pent up demand for anything social that I honestly think we could have one vendor there and would probably get 1,000 people, but we're not going to do that. But I'm just saying, it's like the roaring 20s now. I'm hearing it from all the restaurants. Like I was talking to Meadowbrook last week and she said she's just off the hook with even funerals, because people put off like having any kind of a get together. So funerals, weddings, showers, and so I think there's that pent up demand. So even though it normally is in June, I don't think it will be a problem for us to have it in September.
I only ask because June is kind of before the big summer takes off and kids are still in school.
Yeah.
But anytime past June, I mean, a lot of people travel, generally and stuff. And I know we do a great thing, the tree lighting during Christmas and stuff like that. And we usually leave town to go find an orchard or a festival or something like that. So maybe Hanson Day would be better suited or to think about doing some kind of fall kickoff. And then maybe we have vendors come in, a little farmer's market or, stuff like that. Your fitness thing would be awesome. Just something to kind of kick off the fall as the weather starts to turn.
Yeah, honestly, I was thinking, if you guys agree that September would be a good time frame, and we can start a new tradition just because it's been in June. It was completely arbitrary. It wasn't like we were like celebrating some founding day or anything like that. It was just like, hey, June seems like a good time of the year. So September also seems like a good time of the year. And what I'd really like to do is try to work with some of the, like Rotary and Kiwanis, all of those groups. And in my mind, I'd like to see if we could do a little volunteer fair, almost type of mini volunteer fair within the event, for like committees that we need help on. And just have somebody from town hall there to say, oh, you wondering what the Conservation Commission does? Here's what they do. Did you want to sign up? We're taking, applications. And similarly, like Kiwanis, Rotary, to the extent people might want to get involved in some kind of a nonprofit, food pantry, they're always looking for help. And even maybe have a donation bin there for people to bring food for the food pantry. So I think we can be multi-layered, and really it won't add a lot of complexity because we'll just rely upon the different groups that are participating. Now, historically, we've had it at the town green. We may want to revisit that. Maybe we'll think about doing it at McQuon/Indian Head, but we can cross that bridge when we get to it. But I mostly just wanted to know if you guys thought that we should approach that and try to showcase some businesses in September and try to help these guys.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. I mean, the whole part of being a community in a small town feel, right, is we support the business, and then the businesses come out and support us, and it's just a big 360. So I think we have to do it together in that respect.
100%. Yes, Miss Green.
I was just going to say, talking about events that can kick off our fall and bring people out and hopefully bring businesses out. I've opened up communication today with Michael Ganchert for Dollars for Scholars.
Yep.
To hopefully move forward with the Great Pumpkin Classic Car Show that I run. It's a Halloween themed car show that ran in Whitman for a number of years, and the original organization that put it on left Whitman. So I kind of filled that void, and it was very, very well received for the first 2 years we ran it. And given that last year was shut down because of COVID, people are just itching to get out there. It's a great family event because people bring their kids. A lot of the cars, the drivers, they bring candy. And we can have businesses come out, and I know a couple of years we've had food trucks come out, and it's really been a great type of community event. And,
I love it, and I haven't been to that one because for Panther Education Trust, we were doing the truck or treat, where we did the touch a truck, and then the little kids went around and got their goodies. But I feel like we could combo that, and it would be completely off the hook. We could do your thing and then do the traditional touch a truck. Of course, this isn't really like a Hanson business. Well, it kind of is because, for instance, so the touch a truck, we had, we had like highway, police, fire. It turned out fire had the best vehicles of anybody who knew. And then we had like businesses like Newcomb Tree, McKinnon came, Jeff McKinnon came to it. We even had a guy who delivered milk, all kinds of different businesses. The best year ever was when we got the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile to come, but I probably can't duplicate that. But it is one of my highlights of my life. Lisa, we can talk about that. So that would be more towards the end of October. And I think if we did this, like say mid to late September, and it's a different group, Jim.
Yeah, exactly.
I think September is good because we don't want to wait until next June.
Right.
I also think we'll have some nice deliverables with our downtown plan. At that point where we can talk more with a larger community. I will let you know right now, I'm not available. I'm getting married on the 18th. So.
Well, we don't want to stop that.
Yeah, Marcia will be after you.
Yeah.
So if you run in the middle, I won't be available. But up to it, I'll do whatever we need to do. I do have a question that kind of goes along with the last meeting, but it's come up in this discussion too. Our conversation about And I understand we want to stay a small New England village. Okay. I've also heard when we talk about some of the things we're doing, almost like this mentality, and maybe I'm reading it wrong. If we build it, they will come. People talking about, oh, we build this link to the borough. Well, we'll have people taking the train in and doing stuff. My question is, I would like to believe it, but I don't really believe it. Has any study been done?
No, oh, no. I mean, this is just all hypothetical right now. So I think what we're gonna do is take like Phil's plan, which he clearly said, like find an open space or whatever, and then I think we're gonna have to figure out, I don't know, do we do some kind of a survey? Is there marketing type of survey, like a sanity check? I definitely would not ever get behind the town or anybody investing any money in this until we've got, like you said, some kind of marketing intel on whether it would get traction. That said, in my mind, I believe that the Community Preservation Fund can be used for a portion of this to the extent that it's passive recreation and it's connecting, and I also think there's probably a ton of grants for that in terms of, open space and getting us in. So we can start looking into that. But no, Jim, I definitely wouldn't just build it and hope for the best.
I think we need to be a little careful then as we, as members of the town, government, in how we talk about it until we can back it up. Because I've talked to a bunch of people and several of them asked that same question. Okay, why do you think someone's going to take the train down from Boston or take the train from anywhere on the loop to come here when in Boston, because somebody actually used the analogy in one of our meetings about Boston. Well, they've got trails all over the place, and they have the Arboretum, and they have so much more than we have. I just want us to be really, I mean, these are all cool things, and they're nice, and like the boardwalk, the residents will take full advantage of that, and things like that. But I want us, that next level of thing that, we've been talking with Phil about, we get the businesses in, where we going? All right, do we really believe, are we drawing from the South Shore, or do we believe we can draw from a larger? And I think we need to put some more work in, but I would caution us as we talk about that is more, we would like this, and here's what we're going to do to go back, instead of just saying, oh, we're going to build this. And
no, you're right. We've got to be methodical, with the way it's rolled out. It's great to have an opportunity to even be able to imagine things. And I think that's why people are getting so jazzercised about it. But we do, you're right. And I think that's a good, prudent thought that, we need to be thoughtful about the way that we're discussing it, so that people don't think it's a foregone conclusion, and that we're just going to do it and we really haven't kicked the tires on it. Dan, thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I agree.
Okay,
it makes sense.
All right, now next on our agenda was Deb Petty's resignation and allocation of town planner responsibilities to committee, which is quite a mouthful. Lisa, did you want to kind of step in there? And I'm sorry to throw that one your way, but it seems appropriate.
Yep. Nope, actually, Deb did provide me with a list of projects that were going on in the grant. And she was down today, and we kind of went over everything and where these different projects are in the what phase they're in. She pretty much actually updated me on most of everything that she was working on. And we also had a brief meeting today with Phil, so that he also updated me. And I was a part of the meeting and I watched the whole meeting, but he kind of updated me a little bit more on the next steps and things like that. So I can just kind of hit the ground running from here. Deb also forwarded me the green community. So I feel that, I'll do the best I can to keep all the projects up and running and not to let anything fall through the cracks.
Okay, but and I have no doubt about that, but with respect to the Economic Development Committee, what do you see your role? I know we discussed this, but I just kind of wanted to update the rest of the committee. Now, we are going to be posting for the position of planner. So
yes.
It's obvious that at some point in the future, we'll have a planner joining us. But this also, I think, has always been important for the town administrator to be involved. And we've had some uneven participation on that, front. So I know we've discussed that you very much feel that you're going to be part of this. This is something you've got a lot of experience with. You enjoy it. You've got a good background in it, and we need you. So not only are you going to be joining us as an interim, sort of subbing in for the planner while we're looking for somebody, but long term, you're going to stick with us and doing this because, I mean, I'm not certain that everybody can completely conceptualize how much work this is going to be. I'm not saying this to, be like daunting or like a Debbie Downer. But this rapid recovery grant is just the very beginning.
Right.
I mean, this has been years in the making or non-making or whatever, negligence, and and it's going to be years to get us back on track. Not saying we're not going to make some progress, that will be visible and quick, but just it's going to take us a while to really lay that foundation. And I think that harkens back to to what Jim was saying,
right.
Which is like, look, would I love to be able to sprinkle some pixie dust and make the whole thing just shape up and look fabulous and, whatever? I would, but that's not reality. So we've got to be a bit reality based. And so I think as far as minutes, we haven't gotten any minutes done, which I know I talked to you about on Friday. And I do think that it's critical for us to get those minutes because, again, first of all, it's required, but beyond that, if we're trying to be transparent by sharing with everybody what we're talking about, what our decisions are, we want to make sure that stuff is really visible to the public. So that's why I want that video, the minutes, our mission statement, which I'll get to in a second, all that stuff out there visible so that if somebody says, oh, what the hell is the town of Hanson doing about economic, oh, funny you should ask, just click on that Economic Development Committee. So does that kind of summarize? And Lisa, I know you said you were going to see if we could get somebody to address the minutes, catch us up a bit on that.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And I hope to talk with Todd tomorrow on what kind of funding that we may have to bring on a recording secretary.
Okay.
Who will watch the videos, and that will be their only task is to watch the videos and generate the minutes for these meetings. It's hard in my spot where I'm trying to do many, many other things. And when I start writing things, I get interrupted 1,000 times. So I feel that I fall behind. So that's why I want to get somebody like that. I mean, they're not going to require any benefits or anything because it would be an 8-hour a month job at that. And I know
I don't think that's the best use of your time for you to be doing minutes. We've got to use you for the things that we need you to do most. And I don't think doing minutes would be an appropriate use of your time.
But we'll work on getting somebody to make sure we don't fall behind.
Okay, cool. All right. Yes, Mr. Garanitis.
You can call me Jim. It'd be easier. You can call me Jim. It'd be easier.
All right. Why am I killing your name every time?
A little bit.
Okay.
We're going to post a planner's job. Is the grant writer going to stay part of the planning job, or are we going to do something different with that?
It is still in the job description for the town planner.
Okay.
But I can offer as a backup because I did all the grant writing and management of grants in Whitman. So I have the experience. So I can keep them going, and then I can assist the planner when they come on board with where they are. And then once I see their experience and comfort, then I can kind of probably let out the fishing line a little bit and let them take the ball running. But I could always be available for oversight and assistance where they need.
Because that's really going to be key for this committee. We're going to need
Exactly.
money
Yep.
everywhere we can get it, and not from the town coffers.
Exactly. Yep.
So, okay. Any questions about that, guys? All right. I just kind of wanted to update you, and and again, I'm extremely grateful to Deb for everything that she's done to get us to where we are. So, and okay, now, Lisa, the last time you joined us, we were talking about our priorities, and we had the business survey, resident survey, et cetera, and you had mentioned that you thought you might have a connection in Bridgewater that you might be able to leverage at Bridgewater State, that you might be able to leverage for this. And I didn't know if you had any thoughts on that or updates, or
as far as the town planner or the survey?
No, I'm sorry. As far as the surveys,
Yes,
creating the surveys, yeah.
Yeah, actually, so Melinda Tarsi, Dr. Melinda Tarsi, she heads up the public administration and political science departments, and she actually conducted a survey for the town of Whitman. And I can certainly reach out to her and see where they are in their process to see if they can come on board and do a similar survey for the town of Hanson. And what they did in Whitman was they focused on areas in the town government that the residents would like to see funds kind of distributed to. So we got an idea of what town departments were more important to residents. So she can fashion that type of a survey, or a business type survey to see what type of businesses Hanson residents would like to see and would patron.
I think that's what we had talked about.
Yeah.
Although I am intrigued by the other one that she did for Whitman, I think it's outside of the purview of this committee. Yeah. But I think that's what we had talked about, was trying to see if we could get a sense, so that if I'm an entrepreneur and I want to start a business, have we got any intelligence that we can share with a new business that says, hey, 9 out of 10 people said they want a bakery, because to Dan's point, I actually do hear that quite often. And, or they want a different coffee shop, like something a little like a restoration coffee type of thing. Mm-hmm. Or I don't know, fill in the blank, a juice bar, or, these are all the things that I hear from people that are missing. I've heard butchers, I've baker, candlestick maker, I don't know, all of those things. So yeah, I think that's what we had talked about is, what type of businesses are missing. And I think now we had commissioned an economic study. It probably was like 2019 that he revealed it, and everybody on the committee, I think, got a copy of it from Lisa, and from Deb, and if not, let me know. But it's also out on the town website. But that may be some information that they could leverage, Lisa, because he studied like how far are people traveling to go grocery shopping, how far are people, that type of thing. And then based on that, he was extrapolating that there would be a need for some services closer to home because people wouldn't want to have to travel as far as they are for certain things. So that might be helpful to whomever it is. Now, do you think that is something, when are they through with school? Well, they're probably already through with school, right, for the year, but does she still have people that are like taking summer classes or whatever that might be able to do this? Or
yeah, well, when we had her do it before, she did use her students that were in the regular school year, but it's June, and this process will take a little while to get her to talk with her and all that. And probably by the time they're ready to begin this, it would probably be in the fall when the students are returning. So
okay.
This is really a really good time to get her and to see, maybe that an economic type might not fit in her purview, but she might have the economics part of the, she might have an economics colleague that she can steer our way.
Okay, and then
maybe to go that
similarly,
way.
we had talked about a survey to businesses, and this is one that I am interested in what residents want, right? But
Mhm.
as far as right now, right here, we need to know, what can the town do to help these businesses? What can we do to help them? Are they looking for grants? Is it, like we've heard anecdotally, is it zoning bylaws stuff? And I'm certainly not suggesting we're going to throw all the bylaws to the, wind and allow people to build on places that they don't have septic or water. I'm not suggesting that. But I have heard that like our signage bylaw is kind of a pain in the neck. And I've heard it from 3 or 4 different businesses in the Hanson business network, saying, you guys really kind of bust our chops about it. It seems like such a minor thing. Like, why are you like, perseverating about signage and like, and I even had somebody say, look, I had a business just like this in Hanover, and I didn't have to deal with any of this stuff having to do with the signage.
Right.
So, and again, that's just, it's not highly scientific, but it's 3 or 4 businesses. Yeah, Jim.
That's a big one that's happening everywhere. Weymouth got recently taken to court, and judge found that their signage bylaws were unconstitutional.
Interesting.
They're going through that now, and because it became too restrictive, and I think Marcia can give us more on this, but I think what they found was it was the judge kind of came back and said you can restrict number of signs, size of signs, but you can't restrict anything that's on the sign.
Okay, interesting.
So
Yeah,
it's much deeper than that. So you may want to have a conversation with Marcia if you want to get into deeper that.
yeah, definitely. I haven't heard about that.
It's happening in multiple towns. So I mean, it may be something that's just under the water for us. It's going to come up if somebody decides that they want to fight it.
Okay, I'll have to look at that. Lisa, are you familiar with it, or?
No, actually, Laura, he kept kind of going in and out, so I only heard bits and pieces of what he was saying.
What I was saying was Weymouth is having the same problem.
Okay.
And they actually had someone take them to court, and they were found that their bylaws were unconstitutional.
Yeah, yeah.
So right now, their way of fixing it is ignoring their bylaws, and it's pretty much like the Wild West. But they're getting to trying to figure out how can we do this.
So they were restricting what could be on the site. What I'm hearing is more like the size and the where it can be positioned, like that stuff is the stuff that's kind of like really causing people, to have issues. I don't know that we have particularly restrictive about what can be on there, but maybe we do. I don't know.
I don't know enough other than
yeah.
I just had a conversation with her the other day about it.
I'll have to look that up. That's interesting.
Yeah, so they're going through it, and I think it is size. Like you can restrict certain areas. You can make bylaws that say this is what, especially if we want to create a kind of small town, downtown that we want to have consistent look, because by not having one, you can see what our downtown looks like. In some places, there is no signage at all. And
well, I mean, obviously, we don't want a bunch of neon signs on Main Street, but but we also don't want to. We've got to be thoughtful about it. So,
something we should be aware about as a town. It's other towns in the area.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So that's the business survey and the resident survey. So Lisa, you're going to reach out to Bridgewater. Yep. And then the guide to starting a business in Hanson was something that Phil actually mentioned on his in his presentation, but I didn't get the sense that he was actually going to do anything about that. And when we talk about a guide, Lisa, we were talking about like Okay, once again, I'm an entrepreneur. I come up with an idea, like who do I talk to up at town hall? What are the steps for opening a business? You know, do I have to go to the building department? Do I have to go to the assessor? Do I have to go, for all of the above? Do I have to file something with the town clerk? Do I have to incorporate? You know, I know that these are all the questions that people come up with because I've talked to the businesses about them. I think that this would be a rather comprehensive all hands on deck exercise. I don't think it's going to be quick and easy, but I could see us maybe saying to each of the departments, we're putting together a guide. We'd like you to put to give us at least a page of what do you need a new business starting out in Hanson to know? What are the pitfalls for the unwary that you keep seeing? You know, just I don't know, whatever that is. Are people forgetting to tell you, that they exist? Are they not thinking to look whether the area that they're in is zoned for a business? Because I know that comes up a lot too. So anyway, what are your thoughts about how to approach that one? Because it is bigger than a bread box.
I'm sure that there are other towns out there, other municipalities that have a similar guide. And I can do some research and look around some other towns and see if anyone has anything published, or look into companies that have some type of a guide that we can copycat off of.
Does anybody else want to potentially help Lisa just by kind of looking around and seeing what they can find in other towns that we might be able to leverage? Because Lisa, I don't see this as sustainable for you to be taking on everything for everybody on every committee. And I don't want to burn you out. We want to cherish you and keep you. So I'm just wondering if anybody's got any other.
Well, I'll talk to Weymouth and I'll talk with Marcia about some other towns that she talks to.
Okay.
So.
All right, yeah, and I know Braintree had something that I would love to see us do, which is, and it isn't just for businesses, they do it for residents too. If you are going to build something or, for instance, start a business, they have a way where all of the departments are telling you all at once what they need instead of ours is sort of like death by 1,000 cuts, when you are applying, like say you're going to put an addition on, and you might be near the wetlands, you've got to talk to conservation. Then you've got to talk to the building inspector. Then you've got to, it's like one thing after another. And this is a comprehensive permitting group that, and I think we might be able to get there, Lisa, and even with the businesses, because I know one of the things that Deb was working on, which I'm sure you're going to follow up on, was that software, the permitting software that allows each of the departments to know what the other one's doing. Because right now we've got people with, different software programs and everybody's in their swim lane and, well-intentioned, but not necessarily sharing all the information. So, right. And a lot of times, like I might be on planning and I'm saying, we're okay with planning, but, I'd really like to have somebody in planning, and I'm not suggesting, I'm just bringing up planning just for the sake of it, not that they're doing anything wrong, but, I'd really like to see the different land use boards talking to one another. And similarly for businesses opening up, I would like to see that if I'm a prospective business owner, I don't have to by myself go to like the planning board, the ZBA, because it's very daunting. And I've heard from there's a gentleman who's trying to open up a convenience store right now. And he was telling me about, he's had to go to like 4 different meetings. He's having to do all kinds of stuff that he just didn't know he would have to do. And I think at a point, some people just give up because they say, geez, this is just ridiculous. This is, yeah, Jim.
I think your point earlier, the starting point is asking every department to do a 1 or a 2 page. Okay, what are the questions you need to, what do you need to ask yourself?
Yep.
What are the things you need to come to me for? So what do you need to come for a building inspection? And what are the questions you ask? And I think we as a group could take that and boil it down.
Yep.
So I think that's the first place to start, is to get them to tell us what they think their process is.
Yep. I like that. And I think it might be that when we get that feedback, that might help us say, could we streamline this? Is this totally necessary for you to do, to have a business, for instance, like zoning bylaws and stuff like that. I already know that Mr. Cushing and Mr. Campbell and their committees have already got some ideas about zoning bylaw changes. I think they've been like queuing them up for years. It's going to be super therapeutic for them.
I do believe that is our responsibility as economic development, is to look at all of this.
Yep.
And say, wait a minute, are you kidding? You're making a business to X, Y, and Z.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, to bring some sanity to it, so we can have those, because I think that's a big part of our role.
Yes.
Discussions with other departments about, how do businesses react to you, or what changes do we see that need to
Yeah,
be-
I agree. I think we should be coming with a viewpoint, but we should all be also saying to all the committees and boards, hey, as a town, we want to encourage businesses to be here and thrive. Think about all the regulations you deal with. What can we revisit? You must have a vantage point on this. You must have things you've thought, why the hell do we do that? It doesn't make any sense, or it seems like a Herculean task to ask a business owner to do X, Y, and Z. And I know people have got ideas, so.
Well, and I think we're going to find out through this process that we have several departments asking for the same thing, but slightly different.
Mhm.
Making the business owner
Yep.
and the resident have to jump through different hoops, when they shouldn't. They should be able to put together whatever their plan is and take it. Once we give them a list of things, you need to know these, then build their plan and be able to take it to the departments they need, and not have to make everything personalized for those departments.
Yep, I agree. Dan, thoughts?
I think that's very informative, and I think that's right on the mark.
Okay, cool. All right. Yes, Miss Green. Do you want me to call you Lisa, Miss Green, Ms. Green?
Lisa
Mrs.
is
Green?
fine.
Okay.
Lisa's fine.
Okay.
So as far as the bylaws, one thing that I was thinking of too with our bylaws, both zoning in general, is looking into codifying the bylaws and having them put in a structure as far as index and things like that, so that they could be online. Because businesses from out of our realm could be looking at the town of Hanson to see what we require, and it's difficult for them to kind of navigate.
We do have the bylaws online. It is difficult to navigate, though. You've got to know where to look. It's like you need a decoder ring or something.
Yeah. So what a company called General Code, what they do is they go in, they review all the bylaws. They have attorneys that review them all. They ensure that they're in compliant with state laws, several federal laws. And what they do is they provide us with suggested language changes to make them easier to understand or clearer. As Jim said, that it might say one thing in one area, but then in a different area it says something else. So they feel like they have to jump through many hoops.
Yep.
A company like that codifies them will kind of take all of that confusion away and put everything into a nice package. Of course, it takes a little time and it takes a little money, but it might be well worth it for Hanson to invest in something like that, knowing that there could be people from other states or whatever, possibly looking to expand their business in a small town like Hanson.
Yeah, and I think that's great. Like at our last selectmen's meeting, we talked about reviving the bylaw committee, which has been dormant for at least 7 or 8 years.
Yep.
And as you know, state laws have not been dormant for 7 or 8 years. So we've definitely got gaps there between our bylaws and the state bylaws. We've got things that are inconsistent with other bylaws.
Exactly.
We've got
Exactly.
some, we've got some learnings under our belt that make us say, we might need to refine that language. It's not abundantly clear. We keep getting people asking us about it. And I know ZBA, Mr. Cushing has told me that he's got some areas that they're interpreting a certain way and he feels very comfortable. But unless it's very clearly worded, we leave ourselves exposed for people to litigate.
Exactly.
Even though we think it's clear, if it really in fact isn't, and there's any kind of a chink in the armor, it might be a problem. So
Right.
so I like your idea of having somebody professional go through and clean it up and kind of tidy it up a bit, and then I think take that type of product, and we could do this in parallel, and in parallel to that we could be thinking, what are the areas we'd like to focus on, making a bit easier or clearer or whatever, get that distilled product from these folks and then kind of dovetail and then have them smooth it out again.
Yeah, and that's what the whole the process entails. They review them. They provide some suggestions on how they could be worded better, or they'll fix the language to be in compliant with whatever the state law is. And then we get a whole package back with all of their suggestions that we have to go through. And again, it's a process. It takes a little time, but it will be well worth it. They've done a lot of work in Massachusetts, and Whitman is actually in the process of codifying. And like I said, it was not a large amount of money. I think it was like $11,000 for the whole process. And we'd have.
And I'm wondering, I wonder if we could maybe, well, let's see if we might be able to get a grant, little help with that. We'll see.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great. And then the last couple things we had on our list of priorities, and this is not all inclusive. We can make stuff up and think of other things as we go along here. But the forum with Cutler Brady for small businesses, we can really do that anytime we want, but I don't know what you guys are thinking in terms of timing. Both Cutler and Brady are extremely responsive. At least I've found with the Hanson Business Network, they've been very supportive, and Cutler did a couple of Zoom calls to talk to people about different grant opportunities and loans that were available to them during COVID. And Brady similarly participated. So I think we could have them come. We could have them come and talk to us if you'd like, to just talk about what their roles are, because they each have, they're both on committees that deal with small businesses as part of this year, their committee assignments. So we could have them come and talk to us and maybe get a better sense of the things we might be able to partner with them on and what we might be able to ask them for help with. I mean, that might be a way to start. And then once we have a conversation with them, then we can decide whether it's something that we think we want to leverage and maybe invite and have a little, I don't know, a get together with the businesses. What do you guys think about that? Having them come to our meeting to talk about how they could help us.
I think it'd be a good idea to have them come. I would prefer to wait until we have at least a preliminary plan for me, because then we have something to show them.
That makes sense to me. Yeah.
We're using, the grant we got, we're working with this, and this is the direction we're going. And at that point too, I think we'll have a little bit more in, the how-to guide and bylaws and other stuff to really show, hey, we're taking a major step, we're putting the effort in. Okay, now we want to tell you that. Now, how can you help us in these endeavors? Like, I would rather get a little bit more of our project plan and schedule in place so we can put it out there and then ask, okay, where are the things that can help us?
That makes sense to me. Dan, do you agree?
I do agree, but I actually think maybe it's a two-prong approach where we do need to show them something. But now that hearing you talk, Laura, I think it's important to kind of have them come to us ahead of time and say, hey, this is what we're doing. This is what we can offer. These are the resources you have. So to Jim's point, like we can't, maybe there's something that we kicked off the table or didn't know was available that we could have known ahead of time had we talked to them first. So I think that if we get some information from them first, see what they offer, as we work towards that process that Jim's referring to, maybe we can fall on them for some things, or we're more knowledgeable about some things. And then once we get to that point where, we're looking to, put things in the plan, then we can get back in touch with them.
That kind of makes sense to me. Lisa, hold on one second. Jim, what's your thought process about just, I agree that we, before we have an ask of them, we want to have a clear vision of what we're asking for. We don't want to just be like, throwing stuff out. But I do think, to Dan's point, that if we become better educated about what we might be able to use them for and leverage them for, that could help us once we do get the plan, then we know what we can talk to them about. What do you think about that, Jim?
The reason I said it the way I did is because right now we can say, oh, our bylaws are messed up, our zoning's messed up, this is messed up, that's messed up, our departments don't talk. Okay, we're like every other small town in America. I would like us to have a set of, concrete things we're doing. Okay, we've got that one plan. I think we make a first pass at reaching out to every department and say, what do people come to you for, business or resident? And what are the things you want? I think we get all that. Then we're going to start to see, where do we have holes, or where do we have gotchas? So I think getting more information on the front is just going to be, or where we can get more help, is going to be confusing if we don't have the first step. Us all getting on the same page, us seeing, what are we getting out of our town departments, and can we do this? Okay, the stuff Lisa talked about, some of the other things, all these things go hand in hand with what can we go back to the state for. I would just like to have us as a committee be just a little bit further with some definite, defined plans and some kind of materials in there.
What do you think about this, though? What do you think about us asking? I hear what you're saying, but I'm just wondering if they might help us come up with some ideas on what they're doing with other economic development committees, because I know they must be working with other towns,
We can do it either way. I was just trying.
Okay. Yeah, I agree, Jim. I definitely don't want to get them here and be like, oh, here's all the problems we have. We haven't solved anything. We don't even have a plan for it, but we're going to dump all this stuff that we think we need to work on. Like, no, I just see it as very scripted. Like, what are you guys working on that's going to benefit small businesses? And what are you working with other small economic development committees on? What types of initiatives are you seeing other committees work on? Okay, great, thanks. We're working on our plan. We'll be in touch, and let's keep the lines of communication open. That's sort of how I thought that meeting that would go.
Agreed.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with that. I just like to deal with things like this in real time. Like, hey, here's something I'm dealing with. All right, well, they tell us we're dealing with these. Oh, we're doing the same thing. Okay, how are you dealing with that? I would like to be a little bit more grounded ourselves, but I'm not talking about waiting until, October, November. I'm saying maybe we meet with them in September.
Well, let's see where Phil, who knows? I guess let's see what Phil comes up with the timing of that, and we'll just we'll put that in the parking lot. But it sounds like you're not opposed to it, but okay.
So
And then,
Laura, if I could just ask you this, I'm pretty sure we're not expected to see Phil's findings and report until October, November. So that would be pushing off that.
Oh, no.
Okay, so say again.
We're going to see more of that. We're going to see what's going on with the plan before that. I have a weekly meeting with Phil and I guess Lisa.
he's saying, so you're saying we're going to see it before then. I think Phil was giving us worst case scenario, Dan, because I kind of heard the same thing you're saying, but and maybe it's the prime time version of his report isn't going to be 100% finished until then, but we'll probably see something prior to that. Yeah,
gotcha.
I mean, he's already like, I don't want to say 3/4 of the way through, but he's got a lot done already. So,
Sure.
All right, and then we had this little gem. which was the getting together with the businesses. I don't know, a forum with the business network. I mean, we haven't started back up yet. We're just, like I said, within the next couple of weeks, we'll probably meet at Meadowbrook or Hitching Post and start, start getting our agenda going for the year, start talking about, what areas we need to address, probably doing some recruitment, sending out some blast emails to our email list. So I think on that one, if you guys don't mind, I'd probably give it give it at least a month or so before we really talk about getting together with the business network, because right now there really is not a business network. We haven't been meeting, I mean, it exists. We just haven't been meeting. So does that seem okay?
Yes.
Okay. And next meeting, thoughts on next meeting date? Do we want to do it 2 weeks from today?
2 weeks is fine for me.
Okay. And I don't think we have any compelling reason to meet in person, so we can do that one virtually. And Lisa, do you mind just letting Rhonda know so that she can put together the agenda?
Will do.
Rhonda's been amazing too. She's been extremely helpful, so please
Yeah.
thank her for us. Okay. And Lisa, yes.
So if I could, everybody too, one, a couple of heavy hitters out there that we should really contact, because they have a large network of resources, is the Metro South Chamber of Commerce, which is located in Brockton. They are a heavy hitter for businesses in the area, and they're a very good resource and network. Normally in about October, they have a event up at Stonehill College where there's a number of business representatives that are there. And then you have a number of elected officials there as well, where Senator Brady and things like that often show up. So that's one organization that I believe we should reach out to, because they can help us with those types of programs and resources as well. Like they can kind of connect a business looking to expand to the town of Hanson.
Is that something you think we could get a representative from there to make a presentation to us about what they do and again, how we can use them? I sort of see them as like the OCPC of like businesses in a way, like that like connecting type of an organization. Pardon my dog with her cone of shame in the background.
Well, they're very well connected with a number of different businesses. So I can certainly reach out to Chris Cooney, who's the new president. I've met him a few times, and see what there is that they can help us with. And they do have their own set of grants as well that they could possibly help us with in businesses. So
and Lisa, I've been to that event that you're talking about, and I found it extremely helpful.
Yeah.
And I assume the town has a membership to that, right?
I can certainly find out.
Okay,
I hope we do.
Yeah.
Because like I said, it's definitely a heavy hitter in terms of helping towns with economic development and enticing businesses to come to us. So.
Okay, and then just a couple little housekeeping things. I know we had an identity crisis of sorts about whether we were the Economic Development Committee or Economic Development Commission, and it said commission, but I knew it was really committee, and commission kind of imbues us with all types of powers that I don't think we actually have. So the selectmen voted to rename it committee. So we are Economic Development Committee, just that was at the last meeting. And then Jim had asked me just prior to the meeting where we were at in terms of membership. And Lisa, I did ask for us to put on the next agenda. I asked Mr. Dyer to have the removal of the member who has not been able to be sworn in yet. I've tried unsuccessfully to reach out to him, and I'm going to assume that he's got something personal or work related that's going on that's making this more difficult than it was maybe when he originally signed up. That said, we've got a couple of applications Greer sent to me that I haven't had an opportunity to look at. that I think the selectmen will be asked to look at. Once we remove that member, we'll have an opening, and hopefully we can have a full 5-person committee, because we've got a lot of work to do. So we need, all hands on deck. So, Jim, did you have something?
Yeah, the conversation we had about the guy and reaching out to the departments, is that something? Oh, actually, let me propose something, because I think doing that exercise would be helpful for a lot of people in the town, in town government. Is that something that should be driven by the Board of Selectmen? The board, where you can say, hey, I'd like to go through this exercise. We're going to use it for this, but I think it'd be helpful to really understand what the different parts of the town think they're doing, or
Well, it's interesting. We, at our last selectmen's meeting, we talked about having a visioning session, which Matt's going to pull us all together on a Saturday. Some of us were less enthusiastic than others. I was extremely excited to, get together and talk about not just being responsive, not just reacting to things that are coming up and voting on the things that are on the agenda, but actually forming a vision, like what, a plan like this, and with input from people. And, my ideal scenario, I mean, we're going to meet as the Board of Selectmen, but in my ideal world, I'd love to see a forum where we have, everybody invited to the table, and we break up into work streams, and we talk about, economic development. Here's that work stream. Go ahead, brainstorm, come back to the team, tell us what you think. Customer service at town hall. Here's that work stream. Go ahead, let us know what you think we need to improve. Those types of things. I don't know if we'll get there, but definitely the Board of Selectmen are going to be meeting and visioning, and I will bring that up.
I think it would be great, just as an exercise, you give to each director level, the different departments. It's all employees. We give it to them, and that's going to help the board understand what they're doing. And I think we're going to be surprised that most of the stuff we'll understand, but I think there's going to be some, why the hell are we doing that?
Yes, I'm sure there will be some, why the hell are we doing that? I'm sure.
But I think my personal thing is, I think it would carry weight if it's the board doing it consistent across the town. And I wanted to ask you if that's something you can discuss.
Sure, yeah, I'll bring it up. I think the guys will be supportive. Yeah. Okay, did anybody have anything else? I'm sorry we ran a little over. I really do try to stick to the hour, but occasionally I get long-winded. It's probably my fault. So with that, we will be meeting on the 21st. Will be the next meeting. And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Jim, were you saying something?
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock, yep.
Next meeting.
Yep.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, great. Roll call.
Since we never opened it, do we have to end it?
Well, we did open. I just didn't officially say it, but we did open when he started recording. So roll call vote.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
And I'm an aye. All right. Thanks, guys. And thanks, Lisa. And thank you, Eric.
Okay. Good night, everybody.
All right. Good night.
Take care.
Good night.